Ollie's back, and yes, I have another loaf of bread for you today. Today's words of wisdom come to us by way of Edwin Schrodinger, and he says the following. The plurality that we perceive is only an appearance. It is not real. Vedantic philosophy has sought to clarify it by a number of analogies, one of the most attractive being the many-faceted crystal, which, while showing hundreds of little pictures of what is in reality a single existent object, does not really multiply that object. Who is Schrodinger? I should probably look into that before I quote people, but I'm assuming it's the same guy who came up with the cat experiment. You know, Schrodinger's cat. In any case, what he says here is extremely fascinating and in line with a lot of other things I've shared with you, no doubt. The appearance of multiplicity is an illusion. The appearance of separate objects, of this and that, of up and down, left and right, and all these other things is an illusion. And the analogy that Schrodinger refers to in this quote is that of a many-faceted crystal. Each facet shows a different reflection of the single object. There's only one object, but if there's 1,000 facets to the crystal, you get 1,000 pictures or reflections of that one object. It's a very interesting analogy. One of the analogies that I've used is the idea that we are fragmented. If you look at yourself in a broken mirror, there's going to be multiple versions of you, all on the one mirror. And so I think that this is sort of what Schrodinger is getting at with this analogy. You have one object, but it is perceiving itself in many different ways, almost like it's looking at itself in a broken mirror. And it sees different versions of itself, and it begins to believe that it is all of these different things and loses sight of the one true immanent self. Just because you see multiple reflections doesn't mean that there's more than one thing being reflected. Just because you see self and other doesn't mean that there's more than one self. And that is indeed the Vedantic way. The Atman is the self that is within the human being, and the Brahman is the great self that is within the universe. And so the Atman is basically just a reflection or a facet, if you will, of the Brahman. And every manifest object in the universe, likewise, is a manifestation or a reflection of the one immanent being. But this is just talk and speculation. Until you experience the oneness that is within you and that connects you like a bridge to everything else, it's not going to mean anything. So get out there, meditate, take some psychedelics, do what you got to do. Start questioning things. Start questioning your thoughts, your beliefs, and see what happens. The more you create distance between yourself and your mind, the closer you become to the center and to union with the one. So keep going deeper. Keep seeking the center. Or, to use my friend Greg's analogy, keep climbing the levels of consciousness. Keep working your way up. If you've been watching those videos that I've been filming with Greg, you'll know that in one of his diagrams, the very top level is called all that is. That is union. And that is the unity of all being. And as I've said in the past, I don't know that you can necessarily live up there, but you can go there regularly. And the more you do, the faster and the easier it gets to find your way to the mountaintop. And hey, if you want a practical exercise that you can do right now, next time you go out into the world, try to look at everything and tell yourself that it is you. Every person you meet, go, there's me. There's me. Look into people's eyes and try to see yourself, because I'm telling you, there's no difference. It's you, and they're you, and you're them, and there's just one self. Try to imagine that. Don't believe it. Just pretend. Go out there, and every person you see, pretend that they're you. Look into their eyes and try to see yourself and see what happens. That's one of my favorite things to do when I'm out in a public place, especially if I'm alone. I just people watch, and I try to imagine what the world looks like from that person's point of view. I try to really put myself there. And sometimes I get this really weird feeling. Like the other day I was walking to the coffee shop, and there was this crow perched up above me, and it was, cawing or whatever. I just turned around and looked up, and instead of looking up, I was looking down, and I could see myself. And I promise you I wasn't on any drugs. And I didn't like get discombobulated, but for a moment I was both. Like, what I'm trying to tell you is there's only one being. And the reason that there's a collective unconscious, as Jung put it, is because there's just one consciousness and we're all just sharing little pieces of it. But ultimately, there's nothing stopping us from exploring the whole width and breadth and depth of consciousness from this local point, this body, this mind. And so I kind of do think it's possible to have out-of-body experiences, because really there's just one self experiencing all these bodies. And, well, if you can train your body to let go and to surrender and to open up, maybe it's possible for you to experience more than just this little corner. Give it a shot. Let me know how it goes. And until next time, live well, my friends.